One of the rare few occasions where I actually know both of these characters. That being said, I don't particularly know the details of either of their powers. I only just watched the Jujutsu Kaisen anime, and as for My Hero Academia, I was a pretty big fan of the manga, and I also watched the anime up until, I think, like the school festival arc. And the series unfortunately just kind of lost my interest, so I don't know anything that happened after that. So before we learn anything more about these characters or even get to the battle, who do I want to see win? Just on principle, I want to see Shigaraki win, because the other scenario would mean that Mahito wins, and I don't want to see Mahito win anything. He was such a problem, especially in the Shibuya incident, which if you guys know, you know. And I can only imagine how crazy we're going to be getting with these fights. So yeah, before we get to the video, if you're somebody who enjoys reaction content like I do, please make sure to go support the OG video before watching this reaction. Link to that is at the very top of the description, as always. I'd also just like to say this beforehand, but in case I have to retroactively edit anything out, that is more than likely because of like a music claim or an audio claim or whatnot. For the most part, Death Battle is pretty good with it, but there's been a few times where I had to edit out some of their sponsors, unfortunately, because of audio that they played in the background of the sponsors. So yeah, that's the reason. But enough of that, let's get to the video.
Shigaraki versus Mahito.
The symbol of fear versus the human disaster curse.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
I wonder who they got for the voices.
Tenko Shimura was just a sweet, shy boy who loved superheroes.
But sometimes the hand of fate can't abide sweet shy boys.
Ruthlessly beaten and abused by his hero-hating father, Tenko pushed beyond his emotional limits until he activated his inherent superpower.
Oh, I never knew about this at all, actually. I guess I never got to a point where we even learned about Shigaraki's backstory. That being said, I'm not surprised. Oftentimes, you'll see these villains become the way that they are because of the circumstances of the life that was given to them, which obviously goes into the whole nature and nurture conversation and how you can be better than the life that was given to you, but even then, you still feel kind of bad. Because, quite frankly, I don't know how I would fare if I was given these sort of circumstances. Also, what is this? Suffers from Kanaitis Sabita? He's a League of Legends and Smash Bros player? Oh no! And he lives in a society. Poor guy. Although, while I would never admit this publicly, I may or may not have spent a few good years of my life only playing League of Legends. It was the dark times. Oh, I still don't know how to pronounce this, but Kanaitis Sabita, also known as Marie Antoinette syndrome. Okay, you know, I would have recognized it if you used that. Should have guessed, he has the white hair.
Or quirk.
It wasn't something cool like flight or super strength. In his terror, he accidentally killed his whole family. Well, except for dear old dad. That one was intentional.
Tenko wandered the streets alone,
Looks
silently begging for someone, anyone, to help him. If only a hero was there to save him. But instead, the only open hand he found belonged to the devil.
All for one. The greatest supervillain in history.
He took Tenko under his wing, feeding a hatred of everyone and everything, and grooming him to one day lead his League of Villains in destroying Hero Society.
With that came a new name, Tomura Shigaraki, and an absolutely nightmarish quirk, Decay. It does what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to dust. The perfect power for someone who...
Okay, so it has to be all 5. Oh, he can do it through his hands and feet. A city-wide range? Holy hell. So then what are the limits of his power? Couldn't he just touch the ground and then disintegrate anything that's touching that? Or does it have to be a direct physical contact to the object that he wants to disintegrate?
just wants to destroy. Pretty menacing, if not for that dorky-ass costume. I get it, hands are his thing, but come on, they just look so dumb and fake.
Oh, those aren't prosthetics. Those are real hands from his family that he killed.
I did not know that detail either. Oh my god. Shigaraki, why? I don't want to know what that smells like.
Attached to his face, and explicitly commanded to be left there by his mentor so that he would never forget his rage.
Constant reminder, yeah.
Okay.
While his use of decay started off relatively weak, it rapidly increased in power and range as Shigaraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to whatever he's touching. Anything that touches something he's decaying
Okay, there it is.
also decays.
Spreading like an all-consuming miasma that can wipe out anything from an enormous tower to an entire city.
It makes sense considering his backstory and his desires, I suppose, based off of the revenge, that he would want all of these things to disappear. I wonder how tied to his emotions his quirk is.
Decay reaches you, your only hope is to isolate the body part that is disintegrating before it gets to something vital.
After years of training with the greatest supervillain of all time, Shigaraki was finally put in charge of his own team with one mission. He must kill his master's rival, the #1 hero, All Might.
Only to fall flat on his face.
Shigaraki was a terrible leader, quick-tempered, short-sighted, and, well...
Cringe! Oh, he's just so cringe. He uses gamer lingo unironically.
Wait. Are you kidding me? I thought that was a joke made about him. No, does he actually say it in the manga?
He whines like a baby when things don't go his way. He's the kind of guy who would say normie in real life, in front of normies.
But they say defeat is the greatest teacher of all. Only through struggle could Shigaraki manifest his dark conviction.
Right as All Might's new protege, Izuku Midoriya, was coming into his own as well.
These two rivals, the inheritors of their master's blood feud, would push themselves past their own limitations.
Especially when All Might and All For One double KO'd each other, leaving Shigaraki to lead the League of Villains all by himself.
And with the stakes higher than ever before, Shigaraki stepped up. He personally battled the monstrous Gigantomachia for a month and a half straight, and conquered other villain organizations to create the Paranormal Liberation Front. Thousands of new soldiers for his personal army.
All to impress All For One's personal quack, Dr. Ujiko, who spent months upgrading Shigaraki's body to make it more like his sensei's. It might have been constant agony, but Shiggy went from Chud to Chad.
Ujiko's experimentation.
That being said, it does make a lot of sense why Shigaraki is not adjusted very well, because considering the life that he's had to live, and I would assume a lot of isolation from others, it just makes him easier to manipulate and control, you know?
Vastly increased Shigaraki's strength, speed, and durability, enough to match and surpass even All Might's absurd power.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into the sky. We've calculated that before to be nearly 80 million megatons of TNT, almost as much as the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs.
And Shigaraki can now move fast enough that his body produces hypersonic shockwaves and can even catch laser beams.
And he's tough enough to survive Star and Stripes Intercontinental Ballistic Cruise Punch. Now the new name for my penis. Move over, Gigantic.
What? Excuse me? I think this girl showed up in the movie, right? I didn't see it, unfortunately. I guess I might have missed out on some good stuff, but yeah. I just moved on to other things because I ended up losing interest. Maybe it took too long to get to this point, or maybe it's just a me thing.
To go Megastorm? Anyway, it also made a blast so big it showed up against the curvature of the Earth.
Though he might seem invincible, when Shigaraki's body is pushed hard enough, he will evolve into a state of uncontrollable power.
So Decay became? Oh shit, more hands!
Shigaraki can spontaneously generate flesh into existence, seemingly oceans of it in an instant, whenever he wants. He can even use it as a type of armor to defend himself in close
Okay, I never knew that he had this power, but it makes a whole lot of sense why he's fighting Mahito then.
combat.
But that's nothing compared to Ujiko's greatest gift. Shigaraki wanted to be the new All For One, so what better way than the old man's quirk?
All For One's quirk, All For One, allows its user to steal and store quirks with just a touch.
And All For One has hundreds of them stored up, collected over the years.
The more you
Each
defeat,
quirk
the
is
stronger it
connected
becomes.
to a memory of its user's essence in the form of a spirit, a vestige.
Kinda like a piece of their soul. They exist in this kinda psychic world in Shigaraki's body and can even act as a spiritual defense should it be invaded.
And with those vestiges came quirks like super fast healing, air blasts, radio waves, flight, telekinesis, teleportation of others, and the ability to track foes.
He can even combine multiple quirks together, like in this big-ass electric Kamehameha.
However, any vestige stolen or destroyed will also remove that quirk from Shigaraki's repertoire. They're also sentient, and some can even fight for control.
Which is when the second shoe finally dropped. Because Shigaraki also got All For One's vestige, that means All For One was now in possession of a shiny new body that he'd spent the last 15 years molding for him to take over.
Oh my god, of course. To be fair, you weren't his disciple, you were his pawn this entire time. I was gonna say though, like, how in the world do you defeat this guy? Like, how OP do you have to be to even stand a chance against somebody who has all of these powers at the same time?
Shigaraki's entire existence was planned from the beginning. Why? Because All Might's previous mentor was Nana Shimura, Tenko's grandmother.
I know this.
Oh, that's a mess with all.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I did get to this reveal in the manga. Bro, that destroyed All Might mentally. He had failed his master. It was bad news bears.
Might, that is some next level hating right there.
He manipulated Shigaraki's entire life, all for one purpose: to create a soul so corrupted it would grind away at All Might's perfect world, allowing All For One to take full control.
But All For One's possession wasn't complete, and Shiggy managed to fight his way back to the top, literally decaying his way through vestiges in the process, all to fight his rival Deku one last time.
Despite Izuku's best efforts to save him, Shigaraki was too far gone. His spirit decayed by years of venomous hatred.
And the new symbol of hope defeated the new symbol of fear, burying All For One's grudge for good.
All that Shigaraki asked was to be remembered as the heartless destroyer he was raised to be, and not the broken, angry, crying little boy he really was deep inside.
For just that one moment, though, Shiggy got in Deku the only thing he'd been denied his whole life, the one thing his lifelong nihilistic tantrum was really all about. He got a hero who tried to save him.
Damn. No, Shigaraki, why? Aw, man. Oh, things could have been so much different. If only. If only. That kind of hit me in the feels, though. Granted, it's not completely unique. Like, we have seen instances of this before with the hero and villain dynamic, but it's really about the presentation of it. And while here in Death Battle it's presented pretty good, I hope it is in the manga as well. Let me know what you guys thought of this conclusion to Shigaraki if you're a manga reader.
This battle is sponsored by Robinhood Gold.
With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions.
The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%.
Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth.
The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold.
Investing involves risk. Rates subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match and must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Ever since Cain slew his brother Abel and wetted his fields with his blood, man's greatest fear has been his fellow man.
But what?
Like Yakovi. Oh, that dude. Man, the Death Note anime was something else. But yeah, we don't talk about the live action ones. Now that I think about it though, didn't Japan also make a live action Death Note? I thought that was okay. I mean, it wasn't good as good as the anime, but like it was better than whatever Netflix made.
If this fear took on a life of its own?
What if all that negative emotion humans felt for one another spilled from their bodies and congealed, forming, over time, a living being fueled by malice,
fiend.
which believes in nothing but the law of the jungle.
Well, then you'd have the special grade.
Oh, I just want to say that Mahito's Japanese VA in the anime goes off. It is insane how good he is at his job and making you hate him so much. Like, heck, even before he started the death battle, I was already rooting for Mahito to lose. Like, I'm not exactly on Shigaraki's side, but I'd rather he win than Mahito. That's how you know you've got a good villain.
Curse with the patch face, Mahito. Oh, I've had people tell me I've become a human disaster curse when I've had too many mojitos.
Mahito is one of the deadliest beings to ever afflict mankind. He's no mere mortal, though, but a cursed spirit. Innumerable spirits exist, weaker or stronger, depending on the amount of anxieties, jealousies, hatreds, and fears humans feel about them.
Like the fear of locusts, kinda weak, or the fear of smallpox, getting stronger, or the fear of fire. Oh, goodbye, Tokyo.
So it follows that mankind's fear of itself would be extremely powerful. Those negative emotions manifest as Mahito, a being composed of cursed energy.
It's basically like evil ki. Cursed energy can be used to make spirits way stronger, faster, and tougher than any normal human. And it's invisible, making curses like Mahito impossible for the untrained eye to see. Only a life or death situation can galvanize a normal person to see a cursed spirit.
That also makes cursed spirits virtually immune to physical damage. They may be physically present in space, but can only be harmed by attacks that embody spirit matter like cursed energy.
Which makes curses insanely hard to get rid of, like ghosts, cockroaches, or my ex. That's why you need a Jujutsu sorcerer to come in and Kaisen the shit out of them.
Freaking Gojo, man. The only way to advance the story was to remove the most OP character, or else, nothing would have happened.
They call it exorcism, but I like the way I said it better.
Curses and sorcerers have battled each other for millennia, waging an endless war over the fate of humanity. Almost exclusively in Japan, though, for some reason.
But Mahito is special. You see, most curses are basically dumb animals, but Mahito has so much cursed energy that it gave him sentience.
So he was recruited by Kenjaku alongside other special grade disaster curses to wreak havoc upon the world. In fact, they made Mahito.
All of these little clips from the Shibuya incident make me think back on it. Those are some insane fights. And if I recall correctly, that was also around the time when it came out that, the Mappa studio was really pushing their animators a little too hard on that one. I think one of my friends, some of you guys who watch the streams may know Silver. He also worked on a few shots from the Shibuya incident too, which is the reason why the meme here on the channel exists that Silver is the CEO of Mappa.
Their leader.
And even more frightening than intelligence and bloodlust, Mahito possessed philosophy.
Perhaps informed by the tragic meaninglessness of interhuman conflict, Mahito is an existential nihilist.
I mean, yeah, he's the embodiment of humanity, so of course he would think this. This is what humans think all the time. But the moment you have such a powerful curse that starts to think like this, then you know that it's not going to end well. Definitely not for humans, that's for sure.
Believing in nothing but his own will to power. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and Mahito is the wolf.
Which also makes him kind of a goofball. If nothing matters, why not have fun with the slaughter? Really get your steps in. He loves to dig around and toy with your emotions like a cartoon character.
Oh man. I forgot this kid's name, but it was so sad what happened to him. Things could have been so different. And even the OP reflected that. They trolled us with the OP.
Before slitting your throat.
An appropriate analogy considering his curse technique, idol transfiguration.
Using his cursed energy, Mahito can control anyone's soul with just a touch, including his own. In fact, he's so good at manipulating his own soul that you can't even kill the bastard without directly targeting it.
In Jujutsu Kaisen,
which makes our main character the perfect hero to fight this villain. Although I'm sure they'll explain his powers in a few minutes here.
The soul and the body share an immutable connection. Whatever happens to the former affects the latter.
This lets Mahito squash, stretch, and shape-shift his body into literally anything he wants, like Play-Doh. He can turn his limbs into blades or clubs, grow wings like a bird or fins like a fish, reform his body around injuries, or even create clones.
Curse users are naturally unharmed by their own ability. Should he touch a human, though, his alterations to their body are instantly
So
fatal.
messed
And
up.
since he's attacking your soul, those physical wounds are gonna be
my
impossible
guy.
to heal.
Even if his alteration isn't directly fatal, the human body won't last more than a few moments in a transfigured state.
All that with one touch!
Oh my god,
that
you have
gotta
to
hurt.
solve. Oh my god. No. Oh no. Oh. I hated that moment so much. I really did. I don't read the Jujutsu Kaisen manga, so when that happened in the anime, I was crushed, man.
Herpes was bad.
His powers mean Mahito treats humans as effectively disposable
Playthings.
dolls
Yeah.
that he can gleefully experiment on. The more casualties, the better, especially if he gets to break your
cares?
spirit first and watch you suffer.
Even more twisted is when he combines two transfigured humans together for soul multiplicity, essentially a giant torrent of body horror flesh that he repels at an opponent. Ugh.
Mahito is unbelievably creative with his application of idol.
Yeah, the fact is, the way that his powers are structured makes for really interesting fights that you never see anywhere else. The limit is the creator's creativity.
Transfiguration, and despite being a newborn curse, consistently keeps experienced sorcerers on the back foot.
It helps that he's a quick study who's
Imagine if
picked
he
up
was
a number of
experienced.
different curse techniques, like the Black Flash.
By applying cursed energy within 1 microsecond of an impact with an enemy, space itself will distort, exponentially amplifying its force by a factor of 2.5.
Not only does this hurt like a mother, it restores your curse technique and gets you fully in the zone.
And would require reflexes moving nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. It's no surprise then that Mahito also unlocked the pinnacle of sorcerer techniques, the Domain Expansion.
Oh shit! More hands! A domain is like a barrier of cursed energy, but if you're caught inside, Mahito can use idle transfiguration instantly without even needing to touch you.
It's called the self-embodiment of perfection, the ultimate expression of Mahito's absolute control over his victim's
Basically an
body and
insta-kill.
soul.
An
The
astral
only
finisher.
time it ever failed was against the student sorcerer and Mahito's archenemy, Yuji Itadori.
Because not only was Yuji a barf-inducing goody little two-shoes who believed in the inalienable rights of all living things, blah, blah, blah. He
Yeah.
also had a curse
What a good
inside
guy.
of him.
Ugh.
The king of curses, Sukuna.
Which meant Mahito's ability affected both souls in Yuji's body. Sukuna didn't like that.
Yeah. Bro, Mahito did not know who he was messing with. Or maybe he did, and he didn't care. I'm not super into the power scaling of Jujutsu Kaisen, but I feel like, as a casual viewer, it seems to me that Sukuna is always going to be on top. Although, that being said, Gojo did say that he'd probably beat him. Granted, again, I don't read the manga, so maybe that fight has happened and there has been a result, or maybe it hasn't yet.
No surprise, and kicked Mahito's ass, forcing Patchface to fight with a handicap whenever facing his pink-haired menace.
Yuji's belief in the value of human life flew directly in the face of the world that Mahito knew to be cruel and meaningless. So he made it his mission to crush Yuji's spirit before killing him, murdering his friends, defiling their corpses, and brutally battering him before going in for the kill.
And he's got the strength to do it. Mahito's one of the
And the thing is, he almost did completely break Yuji. It was only because of my brother that he was able to stand back up. That was one hell of a moment. So epic.
most powerful curses in the world, and his growth is exponential.
Fellow disaster curse Jogo was able to summon a massive meteor capable of reducing the city of Shibuya to ash.
That'd take an energy of over 800 kilotons of TNT.
And Mahito can take as good as he can give, especially when, in the throes of struggle against Yuji, he evolved, unlocking a vastly more powerful form,
just like Shigaraki.
the instant body of distorted killing.
Complete with
Evolving
armored
during
exoskeleton and armed blades. This was a taste of the almighty curse Mahito was growing into. A true blight on all mankind.
It wouldn't last. In a bitter battle of resolve, Yuji won out. In a dog-eat-dog world, there was now a bigger wolf.
So he tucked
Bro, I cannot tell you how satisfying this scene was. Granted, I was also a bit worried because we were dragging out the scene for a bit long, And you might as well just finish him off at this point. But, you know, it was sort of leading to that, which I won't talk about unless if they reveal it here. But regardless, yeah, this was so good. I don't think I've seen anything quite like this in an anime before. And they knew that they had to give the viewers the satisfaction because of how much torment that Mahito had put on both the characters and us.
Tail and ran away like a bitch. What do you know? Life suddenly became a whole lot more meaningful the second it looked like it was about to end.
All that gleeful nihilism, just a bitter hypocrisy in the end.
For him, maybe. But Mahito found a convert in his archenemy. After a battle that wiped out thousands of innocent people, Yuji's youthful spirit was gone. The only thing left that mattered was exorcising this curse.
In a way, that was Mahito's final victory. The destruction of another human being's soul. He may not have been around to see it, but the curse Mahito inflicted on the world would bring it to its knees.
Damn. That's actually a really good analysis. I never thought about it like that. I feel like that's a bit of an issue that I have whenever I watch a shonen anime, because a lot of the time, you're kind of there to see like the cool fights and whatnot, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any deeper themes to the story. It's just that because the context surrounding it is hype, 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 you kind of forget yourself.
Hey, do you see that join button? Yeah, that one. That's your ticket to being a Death Battle champion. As a champion, you get all sorts of exclusive Death Battle content, like extra videos, live chats, and sending us your own matchup ideas. And the support helps us make even more Death Battle. So thank you for being a champion. Alright, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a Death Battle!
Of course, it has to be here. Where else would it be? Oh my goodness. We're so not strong, aren't we? I would not want to be human in the JJK universe. Yeah, couldn't see him at first.
Villain stalking these parts. My organization is going to tear this putrid world down around us. We could use a freak of your talents. Little old me.
Oh yeah, but Mahito don't care, man. Mahito's just gonna do his thing.
Do I want to be king of the social rejects? How
Damn.
about I bring them your head instead? Fine by me. Let's call this your audition, Sickum.
What were these things called again? Nomu? Something like that? Oh, yikes. Gotta get yourself involved now.
Game over.
Hell yeah.
Did you actually?
But that's the thing, right? How is Shigaraki going to defeat Mahito? I think the only way you can defeat Mahito is by directly affecting his soul, yeah? So, does Shigaraki have anything? Does the decay work on souls? I suppose he has the power that, like, sucks up other people's powers and traps their soul. So, maybe we could use that?
Should we just see that?
Yeah, burning him isn't gonna work. Oh. That shot from the anime was so messed up. Look at Shigaraki's face. That would be me. I feel you so much, bro. Mahito is just so disgusting. He's so off-putting. He fights in the weirdest way ever. And you'll love to hate him for it. Yeah, get out of here. Ow. No, not the train. If there is gonna be one. Oh yeah, floating.
Audition over. Did I get the part? Decay!
Bro, I don't know why, but every single time I see a scene like this, in the subway, with the train going by, I think of that scene from Invincible. I won't say what it is, but if you know, you know. Black Flash, yeah.
What a rush!
Oh, yeah, the souped up form. Also powering up, hell yeah.
That all you got? Domain expansion.
Oh, come on. Do we have anything for this? I mean, this is basically a guaranteed hit, unless if it's broken from the outside.
I can read your soul. You're just a scared little boy whose daddy was mean and wants to make it everyone else's problem. Grow up.
What did they get from Mahito? He's doing such a good job. I forgot about this. Yeah, All For One is inside of his body. It's just like a Yuji Itadori situation with Sukuna. They even have the same shot as Sukuna sitting on the chair in the pile of bones. Oh, that's amazing, man.
Hands off my masterpiece.
Get out of here. Bruh. It's like, I've played these games before. Not again. Bye-bye, train.
I felt your soul too. You only hate humanity because you were born that way.
Oh, and he's running.
Random. I hate them for a reason.
Oh. Yes. Yes, the exact shot from the anime with his head running. That's awesome.
You grow up.
Yes! Yes! Did we win? Yeah!
What did I
Hell
say,
yeah!
Wiz? Like a bitch.
With their complex
Truly satisfying. Thank you, Shigaraki, for pulling off this win. Man, you love to see Mahito fail.
power sets, this match was a puzzle to figure out, which is why we're breaking it down to 3 categories: physical stats, survivability, and their powers.
But first, let's address one thing. Could Shigaraki even see Mahito? He's an invisible curse after all.
Cursed energy and quirks are notably different, and Shigaraki wouldn't be able to see curses normally. However, even regular humans can spontaneously develop the ability to see curses in life and death scenarios. And with the Surge quirk, Shigaraki would have had no problem tracking it.
So seeing Mahito wouldn't have been an issue. With that out of the way,
Oh yeah, we did talk about that earlier, about how he can track people using one of his quirks. I guess you could probably apply it to this, and I mean, it's a life or death battle situation. Considering Shigaraki's status in his own series, I could accept that he would be able to see Mahito. If he was just some random NPC, then probably not.
we can jump into their stats.
This was no contest. Despite the disaster curses being able to destroy entire cities with their cursed energy, Shigaraki scaling to Deku and Bakugo meant he was calculably millions of times stronger.
He was faster too, considering he could react to light beams, while Mahito's Black Flash capped out at nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. Nothing to scoff at, but Shiggy was thousands of times faster. Shigaraki takes stats.
But survivability was a little trickier to figure out.
Yep, in terms of raw
I mean, both are
durability,
pretty
Shigaraki
survivable,
was
yeah.
a lot tougher, and his ability to generate new flesh meant that he could heal any wounds he might receive super easy.
However, Mahito is a curse and is immune to the kind of overwhelming physical damage Shigaraki could dish out. Not only that, Mahito's regenerative ability via idle transfiguration meant that he'd come back from anything short of spiritual damage.
Which was my question, right? Like, did Shigaraki have anything to combat this? Because he obviously doesn't come from this series, so he doesn't have any cursed powers. But I guess we figured it out with our decaying powers.
Considering Mahito's unique curse body, he should actually get the edge in survivability.
Which presents a crucial question. Could Shigaraki even kill a curse like Mahito in the first place?
Or would Mahito's unkillability give him the time he needed to eventually put Shiggy down with idle transfiguration?
It all comes down to their powers.
Shigaraki had a lot more variety with all of the crazy quirks All For One had collected over all the years, but none that we know of could properly kill a curse. That didn't didn't mean idol transfiguration was a surefire bet either, though.
Of all things, Shigaraki's vestiges served as a spiritual shield from the effects of idol transfiguration. The fact that Mahito could not avoid targeting Sukuna while attacking Yuji meant that he couldn't target specific souls inside a person.
And Shiggy has hundreds of soul-like entities inside of him. Sure, each one down means he loses a quirk, but that's
Okay, you know what? I can see that reasoning, actually. It wasn't specifically explained in the anime whether he could target specifically Itadori or if Sukuna stepped in order to block his way through because he needed Itadori for something. But still, I think it would be safe to assume that All For One wouldn't just let this be. He has some level of control inside there, and we already established that the souls do have a level of anonymity to them. So yeah, he would step in and he would stop it.
more than enough time to land a single hit with Decay, especially considering how much faster Shiggy is.
And Mahito has no way to defend against Shigaraki's primary quirk. Decay has affected spiritual beings in the past. Again, vestiges.
Oh.
In fact, he was able to damage Deku's vestige and have that damage
I
transferred to
see.
the Deku in the real world.
Mahito may
So
be
you can
made of
decay a
spirit energy,
soul.
but he
That
still
makes
has a
sense.
physical form.
Why you
In
could
fact,
hurt
sorcerers
Mahito.
that couldn't naturally target the soul were able to fight him on even footing. No reason to think Shiggy wouldn't decay him like everyone else.
Giving Shigaraki the third and final edge. It was a unique duel to the death, but Shigaraki's overwhelming might, unstoppable powers, and deadly decay spelled the end for the disaster curse.
Nothing else to say. You really gotta hand it to Shigaraki.
The winner is Tomura Shigaraki.
My god, the puns.
Next time on Death Battle.
And that would be the Doomslayer and Master Chief? Yep. Gotta take that
Subscribe
one on
and
next.
join as a member to see more Death Battle.
I'm just so glad that Mahito lost. And Shigaraki is just a lot more badass than I thought he was. But I suppose I just never got to the points in the series where he actually grew to become this powerful. But yeah, dudes, for those of you who have more info about these characters, let me know what you thought about the battle results down in the comments below. From what they explained so far, I think it was pretty fair. And this was kind of the outcome that was to be expected, but who knows? I'm probably missing a few details here, but that's going to be it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.